Oh my goodness, look at this background. What am I going to do with this? Adjust background and effects. None. There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your workshop tonight. I see I have 11 people in the room. Let me know that you guys can hear me. That would be great. Just do a little test. Hi, Denise. Oh, yes, today was a good day. Today was a great day. That was awesome. I got to see myself in Target today, guys. So that was great. Okay, I want everybody to find the Q&A section because I realize this might be your first time doing a workshop with 99. So through the Q&A box here on this Zoom platform is where you can communicate with me, with the group. So go ahead and find that and type in your name and where you're tuning in from. And if you are attending tonight's workshop, there's probably a large chance that you have not been on a professional set before. But let me know if you have any set experience. I got my first set experience back in 2016. So I've been modeling since 2016. I have been doing these workshops with 99 since 2020. And I know that this is a platform for models and actors. So a lot of the information that I'm going to give you guys, let's say you're more focused on acting, I think that's completely fine. From my experience and my perspective, I will say modeling. But it all goes hand in hand about kind of how we carry ourselves as professionals on set. So tonight's workshop is a lot about bringing that professionalism. And it's funny because when you first start, you have no idea how to really conduct yourself. So we're going to go over etiquette and being masters of our energy, conquering our nerves. And there's a large part of tonight's workshop that is based on preparation, which is half the battle for being professional in any field. We want to be prepared. And because I haven't introduced myself yet, my name is Alicia. Happy to be here with you guys. There is also a raise hand feature, so if you can find that, go ahead and raise your hand if this is your first workshop with me, so I know who I'm talking to for the first time. Great. I have three newbies. These workshops that I offer are offered on a rotating basis. So this will be offered again and again and again. So please feel free to come back and get a refresher, take all the notes that you wish tonight. And please know that I continue to learn as I continue my career in modeling. So I'm always revamping and putting things that I've learned back into these workshops so that you guys have the most relevant, pertinent information as to what's going on out there for me. I was just on set in Charlotte, North Carolina on Tuesday. And even though I've been on many sets before, it was a new client. So I feel like this workshop is also good for me because every set is different, every client is different. So I've kind of summed it all up into 1 hour presentation and so I'm hoping you guys get a lot out of it tonight. I see we have two new people joining us. Go ahead and find the Q&A and be sure to introduce yourself. We've just been going over intros so far, and we're gonna go ahead and get started since it's about 5 after. So I want you guys to imagine this. For any of you guys who are in the process of continually looking for jobs, looking to get experience, submitting for jobs, I want you guys to imagine that a phone call rings one day, you pick up, it's your agency, and they say, Congratulations, that job that you submitted for, you got it. And what exactly would you begin to feel at that point? Because I'm taking you guys back to why I created this workshop in the first place. It was 2016. I probably had attended about 20 castings back when castings were still a thing. I feel like now everything is done online. Um, but I got the call one random day, and my New York agent didn't have a lot of time because they're busy. And she just said, I'm going to send you a call sheet and don't forget to bring a book. And I thought it was like the most strangest advice ever. And I didn't know what a call sheet was, and I didn't know why I would be reading on set. So I started to get very confused, but I said, okay, sounds great, hung up. And right after that, kind of like a little bit of panic set in because I was like, I know that I want to do this. And I've been putting myself out there, going to these auditions. But now that I actually have it, I realize I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to expect. I had all these questions. And welcome to being a newbie at anything. I feel like that's just part of the initiation, part of the process. But I am here and I created this workshop to make it so much easier for you guys to know what to expect. This is a typical set. There are large sets, there are small sets, there's outdoor sets. There's all different types of locations that you could shoot at. So one time I had a job in New York and I had to find a bus on the side of the road. They had like a little traveling bus where they were doing the makeup and hair with a bathroom on there because we had several different locations that we were shooting at in the city. So when I say set, it's kind of a broad term, but this is kind of what my first set looked like was I was shooting something similar to this, which is very consistent work for models if you can get in with a company that shoots. E-com is what we call it. So when you shop online, you see the model wearing the outfit, different angles you can add to cart. That is the most consistent type of modeling you can book. And then, of course, there's campaigns. So as you can see, this set was on the beach. That was a JCPenney shoot that I did. Um, I also did this little shot here for Living Proof. And I haven't updated this workshop to reflect my little Target sign that I saw today, but I'll give you guys my Instagram at the end so you guys can go check it out. So yeah, there's different types of jobs you can book. It really depends, but that's where you're going to get all your information is in the call sheet, which is what I'm going to tell you more about as we go on. But for right now, I would love for you guys to strip it down, get a little vulnerable with the group here, and maybe if you don't share, maybe just assess for yourself, what is your biggest worry or your fear about your first day on set? And the reason that we are discussing this is not to focus on the negative, but I'm really big on mindset. So if we can confront our biggest worry or confront our biggest fear ahead of time, then we can basically shoo it away when it comes up and rears its ugly head. And I also wanted to kind of normalize it too, because even professional actors or seasoned actors, household names, they still get little bouts of stage fright. Let's say they get, a big role that's breaking barriers within their acting that they might have a little hesitancy about or a little fear about. My agent just called me and said that there's a job shooting in Tulum, Mexico. And I'm starting to worry about getting around and pesos and speaking Spanish and all of that. So it does kind of come up. It is a very normal, natural thing. We've got Motorola Moto G Play. I don't see your name on here saying I'm ready, no fears, which is great. I'm really glad. So if anybody else would like to share, or if the group feels like they're good, then we're good. But I could promise you there's something in there. Truvan, thank you. Cedric says, my biggest fear is being on camera. My anxiety caused me to freeze up. Never been on stage, so I have extreme stage fright. Yes. And you're going to conquer that. You really are. That's that's kind of where I started out too. If you would have told me when I was younger that I was going to be a model someday, I would not have believed you because I didn't like being on camera. Kai's worry is, am I going to be around snobs, or are they going to be anal about everything I do? Or do I have to walk on eggshells to make a good impression? Yeah. And truly, you never know what you're going to get with different sets, but I will say collectively, most of my experiences have been wonderful. Not talking properly and messing up lines, timing my medications every 6 hours. Yeah, so there's a lot to prepare for each and every one of us. But what I wanted to give you guys, if anything comes about where you're nervous, you have some preset preparations. First, we're going to start with affirmations. I am confident, professional, and unforgettable. I belong on this set. That's a big one because imposter syndrome is kind of a big deal, especially when you're a beginner. When my very first modeling job, I was on set with somebody from America's Next Top Model that I was rooting for from the couch, like loving her. And then I showed up to set, never did this before, and she was the star of the show. And I kind of shrunk a little bit, and I had that imposter syndrome, like who am I to think that I can do this? But I utilized that opportunity to learn from her, to connect with her. We're still friends on Instagram to this day. And it was just the best example I could have ever asked for to learn how to move on set. So I belong on this set is a big one. I'm here because my talent is needed and valued. Obviously, somebody picked you to be there for that role. I bring something unique that no one else can bring. That is a big one too. That's called authenticity, and that we talk about a lot. Nerves mean I care. I can channel them into presence. Does anybody know who Ashley Graham is? I talk about her a lot. She just made a post on Instagram talking about how she has nerves when she's trying things that are new. And I just thought that it was extremely human of her to do that and really comforting to remind us all, no matter where we are in our career, that you can take those nerves and channel them into bravery, into confidence. If you let them overtake you, that's the skill you need to have is to witness your nerves, say thank you for alerting me. It's really just your nervous system kind of alerting you that you're doing something cool, something new, something exciting. Um, and so it's not something that makes you less of a talent just because you're nervous. You have to channel them though. And then another powerful affirmation is I can handle whatever today brings with grace. More preset preparations. This is before we even walk onto set. We just talked about how nerves are natural, so they are not the enemy and they might not go away. It might get easier with time, but like I said, you could be on a few professional sets, but when you get the call to be on a brand new set each time, you're always going to feel that sense of nerves because you've never worked with this client before. So there's a lot to kind of figure out. So one thing we can do too to prepare is research the brand, the product, the project, the director, the photographer, whatever it is that whoever it is that we're going to be working for, research them, look at their website, see how they market themselves, what models do they use, what expressions do the models have, so you can kind of get an idea of what you're getting into. Definitely prioritize a good night's sleep. So if you know that you're working on Friday, I would do all you can every day up until Friday to pack on those hours of sleep. Take little cat naps because you're going to need it because doing things that are new are going to completely wipe your energy. So you need to have a good foundation of energy. Hydration. I didn't drink much water today, I'll be honest. I don't know if anybody else, I do really well sometimes and other days not so much. But when I have a job, like I know that I need to hydrate. So when I landed in Charlotte, I had Instacarted a gallon of water to my hotel room, and before set the next day, I drank the whole gallon because traveling is dehydrating. I sat in the airport delay after delay for 3 hours, not drinking water. So That is just going to bring out your natural radiance. It's going to make you pee a lot, but it's worth it because your skin's going to be glowing. Don't sleep on self-care, meaning don't forget about self-care. So if there's anything you can do for yourself, whiten your teeth, do a face mask, do a hair mask, take a nice, relaxing bath, something to take care of yourself before you go and embark on this adventure on set. Looping in your support system is so important. If you have a genuine support system, your agents, your family, your spouse, your children, who can pray for you, cheer for you, check in on you, call you, wish you luck. It really does make a difference when you have that support. And then always remembering that you were hand selected. And that was a game changer for me because I used to get very nervous, like very nervous. And even still, sometimes I feel nervous on set. But one of my friends one day was like, I don't understand why you're nervous. Like they picked you. They want you there. You already got the job. So why are you stressing? And so it kind of did help me unwind a little bit and say, okay, yeah, like as much as I'm anxious to get there and meet them and do the job, they're also anxious to meet me and have me do the job too. So it's a two-way street. So that helped a lot too. Packing our set bag, we're going to talk about, and we're going to go into details of the call sheet. So before you have a booking, you will get a call sheet in your email. Sometimes it doesn't happen until the very day before, but this is from the production. It's basically an overview of where the shoot is, what time it starts, what's it for, who are the main people leading this production, and then they might have any side notes, so it's very important for you to check and read very thoroughly. First thing I do is I get the address of the shoot. I see how far it is from my house. I factor in traffic and I make a game plan about what time I'm going to need to leave my house so that I can be there on time. Um, Look on the maps too to figure out parking. If you're taking public transportation, figure out the subways, the buses, the trains. But more importantly, too, or as importantly, I should say, it will sometimes tell you to bring certain things. So please ask model to bring um, fresh manicure and pedicure and neutral tones and colors. That's kind of a given. But some people like to definitely make sure that that's done, so they'll put it in the call sheet. Dermablend to cover bruises or tattoos if that applies to the model. Notes, please make sure the model does not tan or apply bronzer in advance of the shoot as we are a sun protective clothing brand. So imagine booking a swimwear shoot, going to get a spray tan, showing up like a sun-loving vixen in the sun and it doesn't match the aesthetic of what they're looking for because they're a sun protective brand. So it's really important that um, we understand the client. So even prior to receiving this call sheet, once I realized that I got the job, I would have looked up Cabana Life. I would have read their mission statement. I would have taken a look at their product and seen that it's not some thing that I need to be all bronzed up for and oily in the sun. It's more so just like beachwear, resort wear, and cover ups. So I have a question for you guys. As you can see on those call sheets, they had times of which you were supposed to be there. So I ask you guys your honest opinion. If your call time was 8:30 a.m. according to the call sheet, what time would you plan to arrive? Oop. All right, we've got 8:15, 8:15. I'm good with those. 7:45, 8, 8, 7, 7:30, 7:30. Wow, you girls are early birds, girls and guys. Okay, so here's the deal with the call time. If it suits you to be there at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, do it. but do not walk in to set until 15 minutes prior to your call time. So for those of you who said 8:15, yes, you want to be there, you want to arrive at 8:15, but you don't want to like get to the general area at 8:15 and still have to park your car and still have to go through security and take the elevator up 12 floors, set your stuff down, go to the bathroom, you know? So I always plan to walk into set 15 minutes before my call time, especially if I've never been there before. If this is a repeat client, showing up 8:30 on the dot is just fine. And if you're somebody who lives in heavy traffic area, like so I do have a call time at 8:30 for one of my clients. I always leave my house at 6:50 so that I can beat traffic. And I usually get down to the area around 7:45. So that gives me time to go get a coffee. I park my car, I call people, I get situated for the day. But what I'm trying to say is if your call time is 8:30, you definitely don't want to show up knocking at their door at 7:45. Anytime you have a call time, aim to be walking into set and making yourself ready for the day about 15 minutes prior, and I will tell you guys why that's so important. But you're also going to need a little set bag. Now, over the years, I have brought big set bags, small set bags, and I feel like it doesn't have to be that complicated. To set, I always bring a toothbrush. I always bring toothbrush and toothpaste, especially if it's a long day on set. After I eat and I go back on set, I want to have a fresh mouth. I don't want to have parsley or spinach or anything in my teeth. So that's a weird one, but a lot of models will escape after lunch to go brush their teeth. Another thing that you want to make sure that you have is maybe a portable phone charger or a phone charger of some sort. I don't know how long your drive is, but you definitely don't want your phone to die, which if you're not on your phone, it probably wouldn't be an issue, but you just never know. Energy essentials, snacks. So when I showed up to set the other day, I brought some Alani energy drink. I brought some dried mango. I brought a little bit of orange juice. So just things to keep me up. Also, depending on the budget of the shoot, they might have some breakfast items for you, but always plan to bring your own like source of water. But most of the time they will provide something for you, but I always like to be self-reliant and have my own stuff. One thing that I will not do is start my day without eye drops, especially if I'm going to be photographed. I think eye drops are slept on, definitely an essential to have nice, clear, crisp eyes. It will completely brighten your face, and most makeup artists don't have them in their kit. So that's one thing you can do. Definitely need nude undergarments. It's just industry standard. One thing I'll never forget is to bring a strapless bra and a regular bra. Deodorant or hygiene products if you're somebody who gets sweaty or stinky. Happens to the best of us. Definitely have a little bit of deodorant. And then, of course, there's that book again. I still haven't answered why we need a book, but I do recommend, and I always do bring a book with me to set. But that will never be me with headphones on set. So I will explain to you why a book is great and headphones are not. And then, of course, any items that are requested by the client. So if they did request tattoo cover up, if you have one, it's never a bad idea to bring it. If you're working with a new client, but most of the time they're just going to edit it out or they'll have the makeup artist cover it up for you if it's a tiny little thing. But these days they don't really care about tattoos too much. I've had a client ask me to bring a robe to set before because we were changing in and out of swimwear. A client has asked me to bring a jacket to set because we were going to be shooting swimwear in 45-degree weather on the beach. Sometimes models bring extensions, they bring shoes, they bring jewelry. It really just depends on the project. I've had clients say we want them to bring their favorite jewelry to set. And so it's really all about reading the call sheet and seeing exactly what is needed. But these up top, I think, are essentials. There's also just in case items. So the idea of a model bag is to set you up in case anything were to happen. So let's say the hair and makeup artist didn't show up that day. Technically, it's not your problem if the hair and makeup artist didn't show up, but how great would that be if you could come in clutch and say, "Oh, well, I brought my own makeup, so I could do my makeup real quick, or I know how to style my hair." Um, Nail polish, file, shapewear, any kind of random things. And most importantly is a good attitude because it's not that you're just booked for a job. This is the start of you building your reputation, and the industry is a lot smaller than you think. So we're definitely going to want to pack that good attitude. A typical full day on set will have a lot of waiting around. Unless you are doing e-com, like I showed you in the beginning, then it will be, outfit after outfit after outfit. But if you're shooting something specific, sometimes you have to wait till the afternoon until your shot is up or your scene is ready. So there's a lot of waiting and downtime, which is why a book is so, so important. It will keep you entertained. Phones are just so boring sometimes. It's not like we want to pack our laptop and start doing work, but a nice little cute book, I feel like, does give a good impression that you are still present, even though you're waiting for your turn to be on set. You're just knowing how to entertain yourself, which I think is a really good sign of a professional talent in this industry. So that's why we bring a book and we don't bring headphones because we need to keep our eyes and ears open for when they're ready for us. And we're not trying to really shut them out. We want to be available and ready. So when you arrive, it's up to you to use that 15 minutes of when before your call time to check in, settle in. So if there's a place for you to hang your jacket, if there's a place for you to set your things down into your dressing room, use the bathroom, and then come around and start introducing your to yourself to your people, letting them know you're here. They might put you into a fitting real quick to make sure the clothes fit. And then you're going to go into makeup and hair. And if there's other models that have arrived before you, surprise, you're going to have to wait until you're up for makeup and hair. So my call time was 8:30 at this shoot. And I didn't start shooting until after lunch, and lunch was at 12. So I had a lot of downtime. I had 4 looks for the day. Um, and you're going to do an overview of the mood board or the scene, which means that every set is going to have a picture or a chart of the flow of the day and what is to be expected. A mood board is really just kind of directing the shoot, what kind of images, what kind of poses, what kind of smiles, what kind of mood are we going for? And then, of course, expect more breaks and downtime. And then after lunch, you'll go into touch-ups, shooting resumes, shooting wraps. It really depends on what kind of project you're shooting, but sometimes the location can change. So that's been really interesting too. Every production that you're on has a different budget, has a different outcome that they need. And so it's really just about rolling with the punches and understanding that you are working as a group. So here is like just a small list of the people that you could be sharing the set with. There's always an art director. The art director is there to make sure that the images that you're getting match what kind of images they need. And then there's the producer. The producer puts on the whole thing. So the producer books the models, orders the lunch, reserves the studio. They are producing the event. So sometimes brands, like I just worked for Target, they have buku bucks, right? So they will hire a whole production company to do all of it for them. And sometimes the production company is hiring everybody that in Target is just pushing the buttons and saying, okay, go. So I've also been on smaller scale sets, like I work for Perry Ellis in Doral, Florida, and that is an in-house studio. So to cut costs, a lot of companies will have their studio in one of their locations already. They just have a separate branch, which is a photo studio. That being said, the CEO could walk right down there at any given moment. Photographers often have photo assistants. There's digitals and tech teams, technical people, videographers, social media team, tons of people. So, in other words, it's like one big group project. And I don't know if this is gonna, I'm saying this to kind of take the pressure off of you guys that you are not the star of the show. You are just one little piece in the puzzle that makes the project successful. So rather than like somebody had said that one of their fears was like walking on eggshells, that maybe you would not do things right or whatever. Everybody kind of is feeling that pressure. Everybody is trying to get a certain outcome for the day. So I don't want you to feel like because you're the model, all eyes are going to be on you. The best thing you can do is have your eyes and ears open, be available when they need you, and kind of settle in and blend in and work on really modeling to make it a sustainable career. You have to have good set energy and good ability to work with other people. So there is some sort of connection that develops when you're working on set all day with these people. Has anybody heard the phrase teamwork makes the dream work? That is exactly it. So the model can listen actively, can adapt to the situation, go with the flow, be down, have great, joyful energy. And when you have that, it's like a formula. If you show up and you're tired and you're yawning, they can't find you, you have your headphones on, what kind of message is that sending? They probably won't want to work with you again. But if you're present, if you're helping out, just adding to the energy of the room and establishing connections with the crew, remembering names, treating everyone with respect and kindness, you have then gained their trust. And if you're having fun, especially like you're going to be a joy to be around, they're going to want you to come back and back. Because sometimes these crews have worked with each other for years. Um, and you're the newcomer who's coming in and you kind of shift things and everyone is kind of looking at you to see how you're going to be on set. I mean, they've seen photos of you, they've seen your audition, and then you come in and that's the real test of your modeling. Sometimes starts with just sitting in the makeup chair and being able to have a good conversation with the makeup artist because you guys are going to be face to face for 30 minutes to an hour. So I usually start there and get my nerves out and kind of establish that connection too. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable when I feel like I have new friends, you know? And so that is the goal too. A model's superpower too is that professional presence. So if you show up and you didn't shave your legs, you haven't shaved your armpits, you know, your hair is from 3 days ago that it was last washed. That is not a professional appearance or presentation. So our presence is in our manicured nails and toes, our moisturized skin. We don't have makeup on. We're clean shaved. We don't have a bunch of hairspray and curls in our hair, but it's well groomed, it's well taken care of, but it's basically in a blank canvas state, which is you make it the most easiest possible situation for a makeup and hair artist to grab a hold of. So if you had put a ton of gel in your hair the night before and it's sticky when you come to set the next day, that is not optimal blank canvas. So you want to think blank canvas. Leave all your jewelry at home, leave your watches at home. And wearing casual, loose attire to set is perfect. I toggle between wanting to put a cute outfit on and wanting to wear just yoga pants and a hoodie. Either one of them is acceptable because guess what? as a model, you have that right because you have a wardrobe waiting for you. So it really doesn't matter what you show up in. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure I looked like a fashion model when I walked in. And to some degree, you don't want to look like, you just rolled out of bed. But I just wanted to take the pressure off for you guys to let you know that it's totally cool to wear super casual outfits. And I wanted to ask you guys, what are some characteristics of a professional attitude? So we've got our appearance and our presentation down. We are prepared. We have everything we need in our set bag. We have our plan of action for getting there on time. We've done research on the brand. We whitened our teeth. We did a face mask, but now we got to figure out how are we going to carry ourselves? And I think that a lot of times new models aren't purposely trying to be unprofessional. It's just that they don't know what's expected of them. And so, again, here comes in this workshop for me to tell you guys what is exactly expected of you so that you guys can read as a professional, even though it may be your first time doing it. Speaking politely and politely, politely and mannerful, of course. And that goes without saying. We definitely want to be polite and use our manners and mind our P's and Q's. But more so, a professional attitude is that people read you as dependable, especially for those who are actors. Do I have any actors in here? Raise your hands if you guys are actors, because I give you guys so much credit for knowing your lines. But let's just say that you had this job and you showed up and you didn't know the line. Or they start talking about the product that you are going to be acting about in a commercial, and you act like it's the first time you've ever seen it. That's not a dependable professional characteristic. So you want to know your line, know the brand, know the product. You're optimistic, pushes through long shoots without complaining. When I had to get into a swimsuit on the beach in Connecticut in November, inside I was screaming, but actually it wasn't that bad. But if I went out there and I looked miserable and cold, that would not have been an optimistic attitude, and it would have been unprofessional if I was anything but optimistic. Now it's not like they want you to freeze your buns off, but sometimes you have to model through not ideal conditions. And nobody's doing it on purpose. They obviously wanted to have the shoot earlier, but maybe they're up against a deadline for a product. Maybe the product came in late. There's all different things on the other back end of it where you don't want to take it personal if you have to wear something or do something that you isn't ideal. You want to be optimistic. Personable, brings good energy to set, is engaging, asks questions, introduces themselves, being easy to work with. That means shows up early, stays close by, smiles, and is engaging. Present, avoids distractions, and is considerate. So you don't want to be sneaking off to get on your phone or hit your vape or go to the bathroom and stay in there for 20 minutes. On good communication, let's say you did need to go to the bathroom and stay in there for 20 minutes. The best thing to do is just communicate about it and say, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to use the bathroom, and as soon as I'm back, I'll be there. Sometimes it just takes that communication rather than having them wonder where you are, right? Ask questions and takes directions too. So if you're ever unsure about something, be sure to ask. Arriving on set, the vibe you bring is everything. First impressions are formed almost immediately. So I want you guys to move with purpose, poise, and ease, dress like yourself, acknowledge who is in the room, draw positive attention with a warm, friendly smile. That is your first to-do list, right? Just walk in there like it's going to be the best day ever. The best models that I've ever seen are masters of their own energy. They walk in and the whole room lights up. So, knowing that energy introduces you before you even speak. What do you want your energy to say about you in those first few moments when those impressions are formed? And I've definitely made the mistake of walking into rooms overwhelmed, nervous, overstimulated, and didn't take a moment to collect myself before I walked in there. But from observing many models who are very successful in this industry walk into set, I'm going to tell you that they radiate happiness. I would never even know if they stubbed their toe on the way in. And I think the secret to radiating happiness is being grateful. So before you walk into set, just remind yourself how grateful you are for this opportunity, and you will radiate happiness. How to radiate authenticity. Authenticity is the art of being true to who we are and doing and saying exactly as we would, no matter who is watching. Be yourself, know yourself, love yourself, and you will radiate that authenticity. How to do a good job, too, right? You have to relax. You have to relax and don't be so hard on yourself. Model etiquette that separates the pros from the beginners. The ability to read the room is huge. Sometimes you walk into a set, it's very chaotic. So let's say your call time is 8:30, but everyone else's call time was also 8:30. I've been on sets like that too, where you're walking in and the makeup chair is not even set up. So being able to read the room and kind of just fall back and settle in and being available in eyesight until somebody needs you. Being early so you can get settled in, use the bathroom, feel relaxed. Be sure to introduce yourself when appropriate. So the first thing I did when I walked into set the other day, a brand new set, I saw a model was already in hair and makeup. I said, "Hi guys, my name's Alecia." And they said, "Hi." Honestly, I don't even remember what I did next. I put my suitcase down. I asked if they could point me to the bathroom. Um, and then after that, I turned the corner just to try to meet a little bit of the other crew, the other side of things. And I found the stylist assistant, and she was ready to get me into my fittings. So I was able to introduce myself to her as well. And just making time throughout the day to genuinely connect to, yes, we're here to do a job, but the day will go by so much easier if you're able to say, like, "Oh, are you from here?" Or, "Oh, I love your outfit." And you'd be surprised how far small talk can kind of take you. You never know where these connections could lead you. And I think respect for the clothing and the jobs on set. So let's say you're in a fitting and you try on your outfit before you go on set. Part of that means not sitting in the outfit because you don't want to wrinkle it. So you might have to stand and wait for your time to get on set if you're already dressed. That's etiquette. If your lips were just done and you go into the buffet in the hallway and you start chowing down and ruin your makeup, those are not showing respect for the clothing or the jobs on set. So kind of keep those things in mind. Another tip on etiquette is to not look at the other models as your competition. Look at them as sources of inspiration. I mean, they're doing what you want to do, or other actors. Um, Utilize those as opportunities to learn from them, to network. Eating light and staying hydrated, I think, is the key too. I want to not feel heavy after lunch, so sometimes I just eat light if they provide lunch or if I pack a lunch, and I make sure that I have access to water, tea, juice, not dilly-dallying. So if I go into my dressing room to put on an outfit, I'm doing it like this, and I'm coming out and I'm making myself available. I'm not going to be on the phone while I'm getting undressed. Time is of the essence. And so the quicker and the more efficient you can be, the more professional they're going to look at you like. Stay focused on the job. So I always rule of thumb is to listen more than you speak. I like to listen. I'm more of a listener than a storyteller. But I've seen models before like completely hold up the shoot because they're talking and they're telling a story and they're wanting to make the whole room laugh. but they also are avoiding the fact that they should have been on set 2 minutes prior, and now we've wasted time because everybody's listening. So, I always like to listen more than you speak. I have little jokes that I'll throw in there, but I always try to make sure that my main foot priority is doing my job. Getting some BTS shots if permitted, behind the scenes shots is what BTS is. And these are really important for you to have because it's basically evidence that you're working. BTS shots are often used on social media by models and actors because, yeah, it shows a track history of you working and being on set, and you can prove that you're no longer aspiring talent. You're actually out here doing it. So, this is an on-set selfie of my hair and makeup for the day. Um, Typically, they'll put you in a robe. And so, if you get a robe selfie on your Instagram, you have now graduated from aspiring into doing the damn thing. So, that being said, it takes a little bit to get comfortable with your new craft, right? You still have to give yourself the grace of getting the hang of it, especially if it's brand new. It's a skill. So it's something that you learn over time, that you get better with practice, with experience, and everybody started somewhere. So if your modeling skills are not the best, if your acting skills are not the best, at least this workshop has given you the tools to be professional, be prepared, because sometimes that makes up for it. Or sometimes you could have the best acting skills ever, but you're a total terror to work with and you keep disappearing off set. So now that you guys know the etiquette and kind of how to float about a brand new setting, now you have the chance to work on your skill set. And so every opportunity that I have as at a job is bringing me closer to refining my skills, to improving my skills. And sometimes when you get used to doing the same commercial acting. I'm going to use that as an example. But then you get a role that's quite emotional and in depth. You're going to have to relearn a whole other facet of that acting skill. And so the same goes with modeling too, depending on what you're modeling. You might need to relearn the client needs and adapt. Getting into character is so important. But I want you guys to also remember that you can break out of character and let the real you shine. It's important that they see, like, oh, yeah, okay. So you walk into set, you're a fly on the wall, and you see the model is acting and or the model is modeling and she's got this gaze to the camera and she's shifting and the wind is in her hair. But then as soon as she steps off set, she's back to being her giggly self, her quirky self. So I want you guys to know that both of those can be true. You don't have to stay in character all day. And in fact, it's probably better if you do let them see the real you too, because that's what people are getting booked consistently for. Sometimes they're not the best model or they're not the most experienced, but they made everyone on set laugh and they were an absolute joy to be around. They were grateful. They took direction. And so that is kind of the nuance of the industry where there's a lot of room for different skills, different people of all walks of life, different um, experience levels too. But one thing I want you guys to know is that these creative teams take so much pride in their work. So at the end of the day, one thing that's really going to set you apart from most models don't do this. They just kind of hear the words, that's a wrap. They get changed and they hang up all their clothes and they say, okay, thank you, bye-bye. And then they maybe never hear from that client again. But if you take the time to circle back around that room, especially find the person who booked you and say, thank you so much. I loved working with you guys. The images are beautiful. Obviously be sincere because everybody knows that sometimes you have to model clothes that aren't necessarily the cutest. But if you can complement in some way, shape, or form what they have going on there as a team or how they work together, that will really set you apart. If you can manage to get a hug and not have it be awkward, I mean, handshake is great too, but expressing that gratitude and leaving them with that final connection that you are so appreciative, that you are happy to be there, that you want to work with them again. That is really the memorable impression that will get you booked and booked and booked and booked. So, the goal of every day on set is just that they have a range of options to choose from. So, we talk about this in my portfolio class when we go over posing, but you don't want to just stand there and give them the same shot every day. Let's say you're modeling a product. You want to switch it up, loosen up. And so the photographer is there to snap all different shots. And it could be a half of inch, different things, different expressions, different movements, different postures. Um, but the goal is that they have multiple options to choose from. And they're going to be able to pick like the one that maybe goes on the web page or on the billboard or in the commercial. And everyone's happy, the team's happy, model's happy, client's happy. You definitely want to be considered for future shoots. And you definitely want to work at building those relationships. Now, before you go and network, it's not like I want you to go around the room and say, hey, can I get everybody's Instagrams? It doesn't really work like that. I would advise you that whoever you connected with the most of the time it's going to be the makeup artist, the stylist, because they're working closely with you on set. That you can get their Instagram and do a little networking. Your networking is your social media base, your little community on social media, which I'm also teaching a workshop on social media, so you guys should definitely come. But yeah, we also want to get paid, right? I mean, but some etiquette things I want to tell you guys is that your rate for the day is never up for discussion. It's all done behind the scenes with the agency and the client, and everyone has their own accounting departments. There's invoices sent. So when you leave, it's not like you're going to say, okay, who's cutting the check? It's definitely a waiting period. So a lot of people don't give models and actors credit. Sometimes they don't think it's a real career, but if you know somebody who's doing only acting and only modeling, just know that it takes a lot of faith and a lot of budgeting because it's not like getting paid regularly every 2 weeks. So sometimes you have to budget accordingly. Do not treat your gigs like a paycheck. Like I mentioned before, models who hear that's a wrap and they're out the door. Take the time to get to know these people. Some working models become friends and family with these clients. Some of these models have worked for brands like department stores for 10 plus years. They get pregnant, they start a family, they decide they want to come back to modeling and they have them back in an instant. So that builds consistency and loyalty. And when you have that, you have lasting success. So if I didn't answer any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. We have some time. There's my Instagram if you guys want to check out my post um, about Target today. And there's my email. If there's anything further that I can help you with, please reach out. On Monday, I want to share with you guys my upcoming workshops. We have that posing workshop and that portfolio building workshop. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the 26th is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is on self-tapes and digitals, which is basically what we use to submit ourselves online for jobs. So it's kind of going over that, how to get good at them. And Saturday, the 28th at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be having a motivational workshop about how to stay inspired, how to stay creatively engaged, especially if you are waiting to land your first job or maybe you're in between gigs. I think it's a skill that cannot really be um, taught, but we have to find it within ourselves to have that motivation and that inspiration to keep going after our dreams and keep chasing more opportunities. Sometimes it's not about what you wear, it's about how you wear it. Oh, yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. Let's see. Always good to hear this again. I have a film on Saturday that may be postponed due to weather. It has been awful up here every weekend. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Snow, nor'easter, the whole thing. But yes, you guys give yourself a huge pat on the back. Go to bed and be proud of yourself because you guys just invested a whole hour for the betterment of you, for your understanding, to give you a leg up, to build your foundation, to soak up knowledge and information like you are a sponge. And I promise you it's going to help you out because there will come a day when you get that call and they say, hey, you booked the job, and you're going to say, I don't even have to stress because I went to Alicia's workshop and she kind of told me, the gist of things and how to carry myself, how to handle my nerves, how to prepare. But I'm here for you guys. I love doing this with you guys. I love sharing everything that I've learned and hoping that it helps you guys. So best of luck with everything. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys Monday. Have a good night.